We're out on the drill field all the time with our petitions trying to stop people and talk about this.
I do not want corporations like EQT and NextAir to speak to my values.
I think that we've just grown up in a place that has used so much that it's just really sad to see how extraction processes like that can just be so incredibly degrading and devastating to the environment. Because I think a lot of people my age, they just see the beauty of it too and don't actually think about how scary it would be to be drinking water that's harmful for you and not even knowing it and not even having a choice about it. So obviously a lot of the degradation to the environment is due to human behavior. So something that I think is actually good about my generation is that we do realize that it's our responsibility to take these steps ourselves and that we need to actually change our own behavior to actually make a significant change in our world.
It's a sustainability initiative at the end of the year. When freshmen move out, we set up pods, self-storage around campus, about 7 of them, and we set them up around dumpsters so that when freshmen move out, they can donate their gently used items to Whitehall's. Last year we saved around 9 tons from the landfills.
You know, turning the lights off more, not running the water while you're doing things. If every single person used a reusable bag, that's thousands of plastic bags that wouldn't get used and wouldn't be put to waste every single day. And I think that it's small steps like that that make you aware of the bigger things that are happening and actually, you know, go to those rallies and those protests and sign those petitions and make the actual steps to get things happening.
Working on a petition from members of the local community that Appalachian Power Company serves, telling the utility to invest in solar power and energy efficiency.
Potential just deforestation affects animals, you know.
We have water, we have wind, we have everything, we have solar. And I think that we are so much more open to using those type of things.
We had the wood gasification demonstration out earlier, which turns wood into electricity.
It's our responsibility not just to make things better for ourselves, but to make things better for our children so that they're not living shoulder to shoulder in smoggy, trash-filled cities all the time. You know, we've got to make sure that we put something in place for them and just make it so that it can last for generations to come.
We're all going to breathe in and bow and let it out. Okay, thanks, everybody. I'm with the Environmental Coalition, and this summer, in resistance to the Mountain Valley Pipeline, we're going to be planning a van trip from West Virginia all the way down to Pennsylvania, and we're going to be stopping in a lot of communities that are going to be affected and trying to raise awareness and resistance to the pipeline.
The whole idea behind this trip was basically to show community members that students support them, that we're behind them in this campaign, in this fight, and we wanted to learn from them as well. So the idea was to have them show us their communities, the places that they care about, that they live in, that they work in, and really experience those places and show them that we can stand in solidarity.
A lot of times we do the pipeline fight remotely from our universities, speaking to our politicians, trying to lobby. So immersing ourselves back into the communities that are actually being affected has really revived the fight back into me. It's showing me the passion that the people have for their land, the actual destruction of communities that would take place were this to be built. And it's really humanized the fight again. And we're meeting people who know that their fathers lived there and their fathers' fathers, and 200 years ago it was this kind of farm, and it's such a unique culture, and they feel so protective over their space, and they're ready to fight for their land to the bitter end.
I'm against it as an investment and as an energy source. That's sort of the only way I've studied it, but this has been eye-opening, actually seeing firsthand the destruction that it causes and the people that it impacts, and everyone coming together against it.
I knew a lot about the fracking process, and I knew that The people generally in charge don't go out and see the land. Although it's not running through my backyard, it's not happening in my hometown, this could eventually, and probably will eventually, if there's not resistance against this pipeline. Today we were taken to see a pipeline that is 50 years old, so it's all underground. Nothing grows over it because they spray it with herbicides, so all the animals also near it die because they eat the grass and they die from the herbicide.
And every step of the way this pipeline is happening by exploiting or taking things away from people, things that have been in people's possessions for generations.
It's like when they knew that George doesn't live there, he knows that now. So they can just call on the phone and say, no, we're not going to do any surveys. No, we're not going to survey you. But 2 days later, oh, we already did that survey. And as a matter of fact, we're on your land right now doing a survey.
I say it's just pure stress and harassment on the older people.
I've heard so many people say if it weren't for this pipeline, I wouldn't have known anything about hydraulic fracturing or any of the impacts that it can have on water and ecosystems in their land and everything.
One of our guides on the trip, Maury, he said he had no idea how many natural springs he had on his property until he went out to document them as a means of fighting the pipeline.
Yeah, we value human lives above corporate profit.
I was talking to a kid and he was saying that his friends who are his age, they don't even know about the pipeline. Anyone who doesn't have it going directly through their land has a possibility of not even knowing about it, even though it's in their community. So I think the first step is raising awareness, because it's the power of people that is needed to fight this.
Entirely unsustainable for our lives as we know it to put any more natural gas infrastructure in place.
And dozy do, the one you know, 2 lines forward and back.
You can hear all the stories you want, but until you get first-hand experience, meeting people whose yards are being ripped apart in their lives that have been inherited from their parents, and they want to continue that tradition of living out in their home county on their land and sharing their experiences with their kids. And just really amazing to see the struggle that people have gone through and what they're fighting for, and I'm glad I could come on the trip and help them fight.
And I'm happy to talk about it now, forever, always. I mean, this was one of the most impactful weeks of my college career, and I'm just so grateful. Just nothing but gratitude, really, for communities like you. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have wonderful role models and people who cared about their communities and their land. So thank you all so much.
These pipelines won't be built, okay? We have a conservation easement that is threatened right now by this pipeline. If when you run by the Cascades over in Giles County, we have a 300+ acre conservation easement right at the base on Little Stony Creek, right on Cascades Road up through there, and they are threatening to come across our easement, and we pretty much told them, well, I can't say that in here, but that's where we are. So again, thank you all for what you've done, and we really appreciate it. So thanks.
Definitely against it. Absolutely no pipeline.